Hi, my name is Lee McHugh. I'm the developer behind SCraMP and FVdrills. After my last video that I put together that was a walkthrough on how to use the small craft motion program SCraMP, I had been asked to do a video that was looking a little bit more holistically on why someone might even want to use an app in the first place for motion prediction or doing their drills or any sort of fishing safety work. So the point of this video is just to give that kind of a walkthrough. To give a little bit of the history, I met years ago, probably about 2005, with a NIOSH epidemiologist, and we were talking about ways that we might be able to give fishermen more information on the state of their vessel. We realized fishermen have years, decades, sometimes even generations of operational knowledge on how their boat works, how to fish. And so we're not trying to replace any sort of decision making. We're just trying to provide a tool that gives people more information on what's going on with their boat so that they can have a more complete understanding of what the state of things is and whether or not they might be in a dangerous situation. So, like I said, going back to 2005 when we were talking about trying to put together a standalone system. At the time, the cost of a computer would have been, maybe $400 or $500. Looking at getting an accelerometer or an inclinometer in order to measure the motions of the vessel would have been another $100 or so. And once you start trying to run wires through a boat and waterproof it all, with the technology of the Arrow, we were talking about a system that probably would have ended up being around $1,500, which just seemed like a non-starter in terms of an investment for a fishing vessel safety tool, at least at the time, in my mind. So it kind of sat on the idea, and a few years later, lo and behold, the smartphone revolution came along, and quickly realized that many people are running their boats with all the computing power and sensors that they would ever need in order to be able to monitor the state of their vessel already in their back pocket. So with that, the Small Craft Motion Program was born. I'm going to go ahead and launch SCraMP, the Small Craft Motion Program. I don't plan to talk through the screens a whole lot here because I do have a separate YouTube video talking about that. But just to give kind of the quick overview, SCraMP will give fishermen the accelerations of their vessel. It gives a gyroscope readout of the motions of their vessel. It has a few different safety metrics that can be fully customized to somebody's vessel. Provides location data. So you've got the speed and course, which mine are 0 because I'm sitting in my office. Heading, latitude, and longitude, so I'll have the latitude and longitude of my office with the compass rose there as well. We can record data and save it, email it to yourself, whatever you want in order to be able to look at this afterwards in addition to in real time. So after this app had been developed, I was having a great conversation with Jerry Dugan from the Alaska Marine Safety Education Association, and Jerry introduced me to his book called Beating the Odds on Northern Waters that he wrote with Susan Clark Jensen, which provides a number of drills for fishermen and provides them pretty specific guidance on how you would conduct drills. It's a great training tool. So with that, the FVdrills app was born. This app was put together a couple years after SCraMP. If I remember correctly, I did a lot of the coding actually on flights out to the Pacific Marine Expo because I wanted to be able to get some feedback while we were on site, otherwise getting feedback on the SCraMP app. And so the vessel safety orientation and these drills, the person overboard, fire on board, flooding, and abandoned ship, are all drawn largely verbatim, if not verbatim, from Jerry Dugan's and Susan Clark Jensen's Beating the Odds on Northern Waters text. So each of those, if I go into one of them, for example, the fire on board drill, it provides a scenario starting point and it provides critical points to look for during the drill. And if you're new to doing drills, or if it's been longer than it should have been since you last did your drills, recalling that we're supposed to be doing our drills monthly, it provides very specific critical points to look for during the drill, and you can go through and just check them off one by one as you're doing it. And you can also be recording things like, there's this question here of how soon is the entire crew aware of the emergency. You can write down that number to log it and keep track of it, so that then when you run your drill a month later, you can see whether or not your crew is improving their response time, whether or not the repeated training is actually accomplishing the goal of making people more effective in an emergency. We also have an EPIRB checklist here This comes out of, is modeled on some NOAA language in terms of what you should be looking for when you do your EPIRB checklist. And so once you're comfortable then with your drills, there's also the ability to do a random drill. So if you hit random drill, it will give you a randomly generated drill and location for things like fire and flooding. So it says fire in the engine room. If we go and hit random drill again, it says flooding in the engine room. Let's do another one. It's liking the engine room right now. Man overboard. If you've entered your crew members' names when you did the orientation, so in the vessel safety orientation, you have the ability to enter the crew member name that you've completed the orientation with. If you do that, then man overboard will start to actually prompt specific people as being overboard, which will let you make sure that you're ensuring that you're capable of running the drill with any given person not being part of the team that's trying to rescue them. So, you know, for example, making sure that if it's the captain who's overboard, every other member of the crew still knows how to run the drill or run the rescue in order to save them. So if you've completed the drill, you check the drill complete checkbox. It logs this with a date time stamp. So today is August 16th. This is 1 o'clock. I think it's UTM is the time zone that this is in. And when we look at the logbook, we see that it's showing that I've logged this abandoned ship drill today at 1 o'clock UTM. If I go through, do my EPIRB test, say I've inspected the housing, I've checked the expiration date, I've verified the presence of a firmly attached lanyard, checked for physical damage, verified that it's properly registered, checked the battery expiration date, utilize the self-test switch, and then I log the EPIRB test. So I can log that complete, and it's now going to update that I have completed that. And if you want to email yourself a log of all this, you just hit this tab here to email log, and your email program will pop up, and you can email yourself a copy of that log. So that is what these two apps are all about and why you might want to download and use them. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always more than happy to talk to people about fishing vessel safety and how these apps work. I love suggestions for other videos or features that you would like to see added in either or both apps or other apps that you think would be useful. And I'll provide a couple links in the video, including one to where you would get a copy of Beating the Odds on Northern Waters. Again, it's a great book. If you don't already have a copy or haven't read it lately, I definitely recommend picking it up and familiarizing yourself with it. So with that, I'm going to end this video. Thank you.